Good thing about them.
And one of the most important things I want to talk about is he has a book out. Here it is right here. You guys on Facebook Live and those of us are listening from internet land. His book is Manage Relationships, Manage Life, 8 Steps to Building and Maintaining Healthy Relationships. It's on Instagram, right? Please go get it. He is an phenomenal church out there in the Miami Gardens area on 47th Avenue around 167th Street. And so if you're not busy on Sundays, y'all go check him out. Ray, what's up, man?
Man, what's happening, man? I'm glad to be a part of the program. I'm excited. Happy to be in the man cave, man. I got you start mention my youngest son, Bubba, but I got three daughters, so
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm finally with the brothers, happy, excited, meet some good people, man. So yeah, let's have some good conversation.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And to my right, I got my boy Joey Foster. Those y'all major guys. co-wrote co-wrote this book with his lovely wife Sonia Foster. Foster, what's up, man?
Hey man,
Talk to the
glad
people, man.
I'm glad to be in the building, man. Just to be in the man cave. I think we got some exciting stuff to talk about today,
Yeah,
and I really want people on Facebook land share this. On you do whatever you got to do because you're gonna hear the uncut truth from us.
yeah.
These brothers look like they're ready to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Nothing but-
So you really
nothing
want
but.
to be a part of this conversation. Glad to be here, man.
Appreciate you, bro. Look, I got my residential wild card. This dude is the dude, man. If you looking for something that's uncut and unorthodox, I got my man here, Cornelius, aka Eggy Toombs. He's here. What's up, bro?
What's going on, Bobo?
You good, man?
You know I'm always glad to be in the place, man. I'm always ready to put that hot knife to that butter. That's what I do. So glad to be here. Glad to be here amongst phenomenal black men,
Yeah.
black authors,
Right.
black pastors
Right.
in our black neighborhoods. So I'm just glad to be here, man. Ready to get it in.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, y'all listen out for Egg. Eggy is gonna make this show phenomenal. Trust me. And so we're here. Pastor myself.
biggest.
You know, what are we going to do? We don't feel safe, you know, in our schools, and how are they going to protect us? And
Right.
my biggest thing to her was, you're going to have to look out for yourself if or when it does happen. If it does happen at your school, I wish it wouldn't happen at your school, but
Right.
with the way that things are going now, they're so close to each other, so close. It's kind of like the kids are piggybacking off of each other.
Right.
The conversation I had with myself on the way up here, I think that it starts at home.
Right.
This is the only way we're going to bring the change. If the laws have cut us off
Right.
a lot as parents, to where we can't discipline our kids
Mhm.
properly.
Right.
What I mean by properly is that book, that Bible that we so live by
Right.
in this country and around the world.
Mhm.
Actually, that chain of words that is in that Bible that tells you, if you spare the rod, you spoil that child.
Hey man,
And
you preaching, man. I thought you was
those
doing a little controversy, man.
those rods have been spared so long with our youth,
Right.
our children, in our communities, that they become overly spoiled.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I mean, you can do that with your kids. You know, us fathers do that with our daughters. Everybody gets upset in the house.
Right.
But with society doing it,
Mhm.
taking that responsibility away from the parents to discipline the kids,
Right.
that puts a strain on us
Right.
to have to try and combat that situation when it does happen.
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
You know, when your child says, "Well, I'm going to pick this gun up, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this decision to do this today."
Right.
But I feel, just me personally, if they wouldn't have taken that responsibility away from the parents to discipline the kids,
Right.
we wouldn't have so many problems. We don't have these problems out of our kids,
Right.
to be honest.
And I was gonna say, let's address the elephant in the room. Like when you look at
Right.
the consistency of these crimes, it's always, and the facts are there. It's always a white young male that's between 16 to 19 years
Right.
old. So, like you said, and we haven't had that issue.
Right.
But I agree. You know, so do you guys think it does start at the house? That how we parent our children and how it is that we raise them, morals and standards that we teach them.
Absolutely, I think it's something to that.
Right.
One of the things I always tell my children, I do have a high school age daughter, and same way. It doesn't always feel safe at school.
Right.
It's sad when a young lady said, it wasn't a matter of if it was going to happen, but basically when
Right.
it was going to happen.
Mhm.
So I tell them it's also about how we treat one another. I think there's some common decency that's been lost in our society.
Right.
Whether it's the way minorities are treated in this country, from sitting in a Starbucks or whatever the case may be. And I don't mean to go off on that tangent.
Right.
But I think it's about treating people with basic dignity.
Right.
So I tell them, don't fall in with the others who are maybe picking, maybe bullying other children,
Right.
maybe looking at them funny, poking at them. I say, look, just treat everybody with respect. You
Right.
come across somebody, be kind to them. You have people that are different from you. That's going to be a part of life.
Mhm.
But embrace different. It's
Right.
okay.
Right.
Just because they're different from you, don't make them inferior to you.
Mhm.
So treat everybody with respect. I think we go back in society just treating people with respect. And
Right.
I think we can avoid some of this as well.
Right.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Foster, you got anything?
Well, no, just to kind of add to what the brothers have already shared about the family component, I think that is so key. I think, and I got to go here because not only should it be a family component that's there should be a faith component that I
Right.
think that has been lost.
Right.
Right.
Just universally. So I think that we have to kind of put our finger back on the pulse of what it means to have this spirituality inside of our families and even inside of our schools to some degree.
Right.
Because some of the things that we're seeing now after, this whole idea of prayer being out of schools and this
Right.
whole separation of
Right.
everything, some of these things we're starting to see now.
Right.
And we can't help but look at the timeline of certain acts and there has to be something there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just as it relates to the timing in which, so it has to be absolutely a family component.
Right.
It starts at home, but man, there's a faith component to it too for me.
And I totally agree.
Yeah, really quick before, like he said, if our society hadn't taken that prayer out of school,
Mhm.
you can look at what prayer done has done.
Right.
When it was in school, everybody was a unit.
Right.
It was like one unit, and everybody was in one line.
Right.
But when they've taken that away and make everything a learning environment instead of a faithful and forgiving environment,
Right.
when they took that out of the schools, that really blew everything, has torn everything apart.
Okay.
Everybody's making their own assumptions at home. They're not sending their kids back to school in that book.
Right.
And when they come home, they don't talk about that book
Right.
anymore. So you did have that Bible perspective in the beginning, but when they took that out of the school, the faith is left.
Yeah.
The trust is left, and everything else is left.
And I used to look forward to doing the Pledge of Allegiance and that moment of silence. Like that was the fun time before class started.
Now
Yeah,
you
but-
get a bell ringing, and that's it. Everybody sit down.
So here's a staggering statistic. It's been 22 reported shootings since the year started, mass shootings. And so, like Joey said, I think if we start, getting back to the whole faith base as it relates to that element of it, I think that'll eliminate some of the, eliminate some of the issues, as well as getting our kids, educating them, and get these teachers carrying guns. All right, let's
Stop it.
yeah, let's
That's
move.
another-
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
another
Because if I was a teacher, I'm just being real. If I was a teacher, I'm gonna take my piece to school. Because if they don't have any regards for life, then
My concern about that is a teacher get upset with a student.
It rattles everybody. That particular subject, it just rattles everybody. But responsibly, like I'm pretty sure you guys, everybody
Right.
at this table probably owns or carries.
Yeah.
So just the responsibility aspect of it all, they definitely have to be trained, not in a way that police are trained,
Right.
but I feel that the way that the military is trained, because the military is only trained to shoot if they're being engaged. They never
I like that.
shoot. They never engage upon anybody first. Not our military.
Right.
We never do that. We only shoot when we're being shot at.
Right.
And that's how they've been trained. The same thing with the teachers. If the police were being trained like that, we definitely.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah,
All right, let's move on. Yeah, that's whole. That's
yeah,
whole.
we get into something.
Yeah, my prayer is that this major epidemic would definitely do a turnaround, and our children would be safe, because we all got children that's matriculating through the public school system, and I always pray for safety. All right, let's move on. Let's get to the next thing, and I think this one is going to be a little interesting. My Facebook timeline and my Instagram timeline was flooded today with this royal wedding. This royal wedding, and in the man cave, we're going to just talk about it. We're just going to be real about it. I cared nothing about this royal wedding. The only interaction I had with this royal wedding was about 2 o'clock this morning. My wife called me. I'm dead asleep. She's calling my phone. Okay, something got to be wrong. Foster, she's calling my phone because she wants me to record this royal wedding. First of all, what is the royal wedding? First of all, so I have no idea what's going on. And so the stuff I have on my paper, I just put it on the paper because I had no concern about the details. I didn't even know the girl name that got married. Thank you, babe, for telling me her name. I didn't know Prince Harry. Thank you for telling me his name. But that wedding stuff is for women. My wife got 100 posts.
100.
Your wife got 700 posts.
Yeah, she got 700 posts.
About the wedding. She's a wedding planner.
Yeah.
So, fellas, what y'all think about the royal wedding?
I mean, for me, the royal wedding, I think Prince Hakeem,
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the royal wedding.
That's the best royal wedding.
Right.
Right.
That's a joke. So
Yeah.
I don't know how this compares to that, but
It don't, man. That's the best royal wedding right there.
I don't know about many of y'all fellas, but I don't think we as guys had a fairy tale wedding.
Oh, man, that's no.
We may have a honeymoon in mind, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The smashing after the wedding.
That's where.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, y'all.
That's where it starts.
But the ceremony stuff, man, we leave that to the wives.
Yeah, we take our hands out of that situation.
Did you guys cry when your wife came up the aisle?
When my wife came up there, of course we all cried.
You cried?
It wasn't because how beautiful
You
she
cried
was,
like Prince
or
Harry?
that day was. Prince Harry wasn't crying. He was actually looking like, boy, when this is over,
Oh, that's how it look.
it's on. That was that. But we actually cried because, oh my goodness, we're getting into it. This is the beginning of a new life for us. So the change is here.
Yeah.
So you know,
Well, for me, man, thinking about our wedding, I was really ready for it to be that day just to really just stop. I
And
was
that's a
just
good way to
waiting
put
for
it,
to be
Foster.
over. I'm like,
I
man,
wanted to just
listen,
stop.
Just too much going on. It's too many people.
Right.
I love you all for coming, but man, I'm ready to start living life and enjoy this night. Praise the Lord.
That's what it's fun. But here it is. Weddings are for women, for them to get ready, and then you pay for your visitors to come and enjoy the moment. I think it's not a waste of time. It's for the women, but the royal wedding gets a thumb down for me because then let's talk about the preacher. The preacher got major reviews because, like my wife said, his message was heartfelt. But I didn't hear it, and I don't think I'm going to listen to it. But did you guys listen to the sermon?
I heard snippets.
Snippets.
Here and there.
Was it
I didn't hear
persuasive? Did he preach the gospel?
According to those who have heard the whole thing, he did his thing.
He did his thing.
Because
Okay.
he's a priest. He's not a preacher.
Not a preacher.
So to speak.
But I heard he was getting a little excited though.
And that was the thing. She, according to those who heard the whole thing, they gave her the thumbs up because she chose him.
Okay, but she half
So-
black, so
Right. That's what
her name
that's
is
another
Rachel.
thing. Right.
See, London is about to be on fire. You got a Rachel.
You got to understand, London is really mixed. You see how many of us are over there. There's a lot of
Well,
us in London.
We finna kill the royal family reunion. Like it's finna be
We finna make
pickle eggs and
we're going to
pickles.
diversify
Electric slide.
those picnics.
Listen, I listened to the entire. I didn't watch the wedding. I
Foster.
didn't see the wedding at all, but I did go.
I knew
on
you was
YouTube.
gonna look at.
And I had to catch the preacher. What is this? Everybody talking about the preacher. So I did catch the message, and it was a solid message. It was beautiful, man. It really
Baby,
was.
should I drop the
heard the
bomb?
same way.
My wife is in the man cave. Should I drop the bomb? He is the first black. Is it priest? I want to get it right. Episcopal preacher who has accepted the LGBT in his church.
And that's what he did, right? And
Yeah.
he did that in his sermon.
And you
as
can,
well.
I was going to say
He
that.
did
I was
that in
going to
his
say
sermon as
you can,
well.
you can
And see, he's
feel
tying it
the-
all in.
the
Right.
tie there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, the whole sermon was about love. Well, we gonna leave that alone because we got pastors in the room, and so if the message was good,
The message was good.
All right, we gonna
the
leave it at
message
that.
was good. Yeah.
we gonna leave
Can
it
you
at
add something? You can always add, but
Yeah.
the message of it was good. Yes.
Right. All right, fellas, let's move on because that'll take the show in a whole nother direction. All right, let's move on. Let's get into the show topic. It is my desire to embrace these taboo topics that we don't talk about as men, that makes us uncomfortable. But I want to go there because I feel like if we don't ever address them, we'll always be prisoners or we'll always be held hostage to the things that are plaguing us. And so today I want to talk about men and their emotions. I know that don't go together because we are masculine and we are taught not to embrace our emotions, but I want to talk about it because as men, we do have emotions. We do have those feelings that we feel on the inside, and sometimes when they don't go, we don't address them. It comes out in other ways. Just last week, before we get into the actual questions, I had a very emotional week, and I know it sounds funny. It sounds funny coming out of my mouth, but let me share. I graduated from college, and I had to bury my granddad.
Wow.
So I was going through a range of emotions. The same day my graduation was, was the same day of his wake. So I literally, and Ray was there, I literally left the wake and went and celebrated my graduation. But as I was leaving, my wife would tell you, I broke down in the car. And let me tell you why, because I was frustrated that I had these different emotions that I had to, like I wanted to just be happy. And then the next minute I was sad and so I was a little frustrated that my emotions were all on the roller coaster. But I'm grateful for the fact that I was able to express them because had I not did that, ain't no telling what would have happened. So men and emotions. Let's talk about men and emotions. Why are men so non-emotional? What do you guys think? Why are we so non-emotional as men? And I know that's there's many answers that can come, and anybody can answer at this point. Why do you think guys are so non-emotional?
Well, I think one, I do think that men are emotional. I do think that.
Okay.
Because when you talk about emotions, you're talking about a range of different things. There's happy, there's sad, there's anger, there's all of these different things. So men are emotional, I would say, in large part.
Right.
I think one of the issues comes in is when, how do we handle
Right.
those emotions?
Right.
I think that's the issue. We are extremely emotional. Something happens, we're
Right.
happy.
Right.
When the Heat win, it's
Oh,
on.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're jumping around the house. That's emotion. When the Dolphins do something that the Miami Dolphins do,
Right.
we get a little
Right.
frustrated.
Right.
Right. So the emotions are there. How we manage them as it relates to internally, I think we can do some work there.
Okay.
And I don't want to go ahead, but I think we are emotional, and we just have to kind of work on how to handle
Right.
those different emotions.
Okay. Okay.
I think what we're referring to also, just to piggyback on what you said, Joey, is behavior response.
Okay.
You know, it is the freedom to express,
Right.
and show that emotion.
Okay.
Now, there is a cultural component to how we express emotion.
Right.
Right.
So I was reading one time from a study in psychology about in the Japanese culture how they would basically, if there's some fear or disdain from an authority figure, they will hide that in the presence of
Right.
that authority figure.
Okay.
So they will suppress that emotion.
Right.
I think it's the same way. Culturally, you know, even from our upbringing, and if I don't know, y'all stop me from going too far.
No, go ahead, bro.
I think it's, you know, from the very moment from a child, you know, if you're raised in a masculine household and a little boy starts crying, hey, toughen up.
Right. Right.
You know, you're crying too much.
Yep.
You know, right there, we're sending a message that you shouldn't be so expressive in this
Right.
emotion. So I think it's cultural.
Right.
I think from a cultural standpoint, we're taught to not display, even though, like I said, we're feeling it.
Right.
but
Right.
We're taught not to display it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. What you got, Egan?
That's basically it.
Right.
Being brought up that way.
Right.
You know, as long as it's in the household, even if you're being raised by a single mom, single dad, doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, what we've been taught over generations, you know, is what men are supposed to do.
Right.
If I think it's basically because if we do show those emotions, it just depends on those emotions that we do show.
Right.
If we show those emotions, that'll make us tend to look weak. You know, that doesn't sit well in our home because now that depicts me as a weak man.
Right.
You know, if we display too many emotions that we sit and everything is sad, everything is we cry about things. Of course, we want to cry.
Right.
You know, we cry when we go to our rooms and close the doors, or we cry when we go to the bathroom. You
Right.
know, we'll sit there and do that, and you know, we wipe our tears before we come out because we can't display that soft emotion.
Right.
Because we've really been raised to provide, protect,
Right.
and to make sure that our families know that we are there for them.
Right.
But if we break down at any point in time,
Right.
who's there really to, you know, who's going to protect us?
Right,
Because we've been, you know, raised to protect everybody else. So, you know, having that emotion, like he said, like the two pastors have said, we have to learn how to move those things around
Right.
to try and let our families know, and even the people in the community know that this, you know, yeah, we are men. Yeah, we do hurt. Yeah, we do cry. We do get excited. You know, like Pastor said, we have to, when we do express those emotions, they have to be at the right time for us.
Right.
That's how it is.
I think you hit right on it. That whole deal of how to express it and when to. Shameless plug. One of the chapters.
Go for it, man.
one
Yeah,
of the
go for it.
chapters-
Hey.
One of the chapters in our book, Relationship
Get the
Goals, that you can get on joeyandSoniaFoster.com.
Yeah, that's it right there. I like it.
Is a chapter called Wholeness.
Right.
And it's this idea that sometimes it's possible to move past the thing without addressing a thing.
Yeah.
And
That's
we
good, bro.
think that
Right.
progress will kind of smother pain.
Right.
So we'll just move on
Man,
from it.
you preaching, man.
Please, man, this guy. So we tell this story about this young man playing basketball with his father.
Right.
Father ends up hurting his finger. He hurts his finger, but he never goes to the doctor.
Right.
But eventually his finger stops hurting.
Right.
So his wife says, "Hey, well, are you going to go to the doctor?" He says, "No, I don't need to go to the doctor because I'm not hurt anymore."
Right.
And she looks at him and says, "Just because you're not hurting,
Right.
it doesn't mean that you're not hurt."
Right.
Right.
So what I want you to do is go to the doctor so that we can examine what really happened.
Right.
And I think men, what we do is we move past things
Right.
and we mask it with masculinity.
Let's do. This
And
dude.
instead of putting it in the hands of the doctor so that the doctor can, I'm just saying.
Joey, you
know.
tapping into your sermon tomorrow.
Nah, man. So it's something that we all, I mean, men, I think we learn how to do that, man.
Right.
We move on. We're like, oh, okay, I can't,
Right.
we'll push that down, you know what I mean? So it's about being whole.
Right. And so that leads me to this particular question. Why do we compare masculinity with being non-emotional?
Now, I don't know if you're gonna accept this or not.
Go ahead, man.
But I think women play a role in that too.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, here's what happens. If you displayed emotion,
Mm-hmm.
you were told you were soft.
Right,
You know,
right.
And sometimes you were told you were soft from the female gender.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're saying, hey, oh man, I'm going to be viewed as soft.
Right.
If I'm expressing this emotion, you learn to repress that emotion as well.
Right.
So even as you continue to grow in life,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, I don't want to be that soft, sensitive guy.
Right.
Man, I'm telling you something. When I was growing up in high school, the sisters didn't want no soft brothers.
Right. Right.
They did not want them. They
Right.
could say
Right.
they could say what they want, but they wanted a roughneck.
Right.
They
Yeah.
wanted somebody who was a little tough.
Yeah.
So you around there expressing emotion. Hey, hey, baby, let me tell you how I feel.
Right.
They didn't want to hear that.
Right. Right.
And so you had to be that tough guy.
Right.
You had to learn. Okay, let me tighten up in this moment here and show us something that's masculine, if you will.
Right.
And so I think that's where it comes in as far as okay, let me. This is a factor that plays into that. Let me not appear soft. I don't want anybody to take advantage of me.
Right.
I don't want anybody to think, take my emotionalism as a weakness.
Right. Right.
You get what I'm saying? Or my ability to express it or articulate it
Right.
as a weakness.
Right.
And that's what I think happens. So I've learned that, when I was coming up, I was a little more sensitive, but I learned how to kind of hide that a bit.
Right.
And to show myself as more, tough because I felt that's what women wanted.
Okay. Okay. And so women play. That's a good point. That's a good point. I came up in the context, the guys that, I came up around older guys, and my neighborhood was kind of hoodish. So the guys that I came up around, they taught me how to just suck it up. Like if you ran and hit your head on the ground or something like that, and you feel that good cry. I'm talking about the one you can't catch your
Can't
breath.
catch it,
Yeah.
That lump in your throat.
Yeah. Man, suck it up. And so that was a shaping of how it was that I would address my emotions. Instead of dealing with the pain, I would just, equate it with just, let me be masculine in this moment and just suck it up. So what you say, Eggy?
Yeah. You guys are absolutely right, but it's crazy because now that we just hearing what the pastor said, it's like, what do you do in that situation? Like he said, you don't want anybody to see your weakness. When they do, then you're considered soft.
Right.
Nowadays, everybody wants to see your weakness.
Right.
Every woman wants to know how you feel about her. They want you to express that. They want you to show that.
Okay.
So when you do show those things and express when we were younger, if we showed those things or expressed those things, we were considered soft.
Right.
Now everything's taken a 360, and we are supposed to be those emotional creatures, and it's really taboo how it does work
Right.
that way, because before you didn't want that.
Right.
Now you want that.
Right.
At a certain point in time later on, you're not going to want that.
Right.
And then at a certain point in time later on, you're going to want that.
So they bipolar.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Baby, I'm sorry you're here, but yeah, they bipolar. Yeah, they
Pretty
bipolar.
much. So,
But that's a good perspective. So the more non-emotional you are, the more masculine you are.
right.
Should we kill that myth? Should we kill it?
It's definitely a myth.
Right.
Because you can express emotion and still be masculine.
Right.
I think to a certain level, I know for me, spirituality helped me develop that.
Right.
Right.
Because I get in worship, and I'm tears in my eyes.
Right.
It's flowing, it's real,
Right.
it's pure.
Right.
So I'm still as masculine though when I finish.
Absolutely.
I still can be tough when the moment calls for
Right.
it. So I think it definitely is a myth. I think as though if we're in a man cave, we got to reshape our thinking.
Right.
And many
That's a
of
good.
us, as we've gotten older, we're evolving.
Right.
But all men aren't evolving.
Right.
At the same rate.
Right.
So I think that's why we need these kind of forums. We need to talk about it so everybody can evolve.
Right.
It's nothing. You just as tough if you express emotion. As a matter of fact, it takes a tough man to be able to express that emotion.
That's a good point.
Show that, hey, I'm real, man.
Right.
Absolutely.
This brings tears to my eyes.
Right.
Like you talked about, you and I. I'm married to your sister, and I've been a part of your family for 20 years. So when your grandfather passed, I'm hurting.
Right.
I'm at church. I was hurting. I'm emotional about the whole situation. And yet, I'm going through the same range because I'm happy for you that that's your moment. That
Right.
you graduate.
Right.
So here you one of my closest boys. I'm happy, but I can't fully express my happiness or tell you how happy I am because I'm feeling like, man, we got to wake here. So I got to
Yeah.
tone down the happiness level.
Right.
But so I'm balancing. So I think it's okay for us to acknowledge
Right.
that we have in that range. And as we continue these kind of forums and talking to brothers, writing books, doing whatever we can to say, hey, it's all right.
Right.
It's cool. Nobody gonna take your emotionalism or your ability to express your emotion as weakness.
All right. Foster, you got something?
Well, no, I would just say that we hit it right on the head. I think one of the things is giving people an accurate, especially when I talk to younger men, young boys, teenagers. It's a lot of times we're getting raised by media.
Right. That's a good point.
And so what's happening is we're seeing a depiction of what manhood is.
Right.
I say manhood in quotations. So what we're trying to do is be that. I know for me,
Right.
growing up, I had godly examples of men, but I wasn't looking at them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That was soft.
You know, that was soft.
Right, that was soft.
You know what I mean? And like you say, spirituality helps with that. You see all through Scripture, you see different individuals that show the range of emotion. You know,
Right.
you see people writing songs, and then you say the wrong thing, he cut your head.
Yeah.
off.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think as men, we have to have some level of that. We
Right.
have to be open enough and tender enough
Right.
to relate to to our kids and to our wives, but at the same time be tough enough to be the protector of the house.
Right.
So it's a range, man, and it's interesting to try to navigate through it.
Right.
The ladies think we got it easy, man. I mean,
But I just think because we've been engineered to think that we don't have a platform to express.
right.
And we are all empty canvases, but I think, like you said earlier, Ray, like the culture has taught us how to express our emotions. And not to cut you off, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm good with that.
But yeah, here's another question. When we compartmentalize our emotions, does it desensitize our feelings towards others? Does it, being in that frame of mind of having this idea of let me ignore my feelings, does it desensitize the way we express our feelings towards others? You guys think? And my phone was ringing. We're back. Who is that?
I do say if you're not comfortable expressing your emotions,
Right.
you're gonna look kind of weirdly at people who are comfortable.
Right.
doing it. And I think that's the challenge. Whereas where we're saying this person is soft
Right.
because we're like, well, man, I wouldn't do that. We measure ourselves by others typically.
Right.
That's the plague in society. We measure ourselves by other people.
Right.
And so, I wouldn't be crying like that. I wouldn't respond to the situation.
Yeah.
I have to tell people that all the time when I'm counseling and things. I'll say, look, you cannot measure a person's response based on how you would have responded.
Right.
We are all different individuals. So I think it's understanding that. But yes, the answer to that, we do tend to almost, and I'm going to say become cold toward people as we are not comfortable sharing our emotions.
Right.
We are a little uncomfortable when we're around people who do it quite
Okay.
well.
Right.
So I think that does. So it does. In essence, I'm not saying it's desensitizing per se, because we may feel their pain,
Right.
but we're uncomfortable with their expression.
Right.
Right, and that was a major show that was on just last week. Me and my wife was watching it, and this guy, when I say major, it was a show that we probably already know. He was expressive when it came to his emotion, and it felt uncomfortable for me. And so I felt like in that moment I wasn't being sensitive to what he was experiencing.
Right.
And it just goes back what we talked about earlier. So that's a good point. That's a good point, Ray. So what you think, Foster?
No, I think it's
Got a question?
it's always interesting
What's it?
when
Go ahead, Foster.
okay.
Got a question? What does it say? Oh, you want me to read it? Go ahead, Foster.
No, so I think it's always interesting when you talk about how do we handle our emotions, how do we accept other people's emotional expression.
Right.
That's difficult sometimes because a lot of times we live our lives through our own lenses.
Right.
So, if it doesn't affect me that much, how can it affect you like that? I mean, it's one thing to be hurt, but you all tore up.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is the kind of things that sometimes we think. But at the same time, like Ray was saying, it's important to understand that people deal with different situations differently.
Right.
And I think in general, whatever expression of emotion that that person has, as long as it's not hurtful or harmful to somebody or themselves, I think it can be healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of how I see it.
So we got a question. What's the question, baby?
Emmanuel Dean says, do we as men care too much about what others think? It's three parts. Do we as men care too much about what others think? Should worship be the only time that we show emotion? Do we really know what showing emotions consists of?
It's a loaded question.
I often say this, and I mean this for overall men and women. I don't know if we care about what people think of us. We care about what we think people think of us.
That's
Right.
good. That's good. That's a good perspective.
What
Yeah.
we think they think of us.
Right.
We will never truly know what people think of us.
Exactly.
So we care about if we can.
We were just talking about
yeah,
that.
if we, what we think they think about
Right.
us. And I'm sorry, baby. Part two.
Part two was religion.
Worship.
Worship. Yeah.
Should worship be the only time?
Of course not.
Yeah, no, that's
No,
imbalance.
I gave an example, but no, I mean, we could, hey, I remember having a tough situation at my home, and I had never shed a tear in front of my girls.
Right.
But it was something that impacted them.
Right.
So that was the first time they actually saw me shed tears in front of
Right.
them. And I don't regret that, because they saw how passionate I was about, what I was talking about,
Yeah.
and what meant something to our family.
Right.
So I don't think worship should be the only time. I think we can. And then when it talks about, so I talk about, emotional expression.
Right.
Do we understand, there are universal, right, emotions that we all, when we smile, and that typically means happy. So we all understand universal emotion. I think the expression of emotion, you can do it in either physical
Right.
or verbal.
Right.
Right.
And, so you can articulate what you're feeling. I think that's fine. That's an expression. Or physically, if you're in discomfort, like, kind of if we, stomach pain,
Right.
we look like it. So I think I think we understand the expression of it, to be honest with you. I
Right.
don't think that's the complicated part. It's just the comfort of expressing.
So the question was, do we as men,
Much about what others think.
what others think, and should men only express themselves or their emotions in worship? What was the last part of it?
And do we really know what showing emotion consists of?
Yeah. Or do we really know what showing emotions consist of? That's a very good point. Big. What you got, Eggy?
I'll go backwards. We do know what showing emotions consist of, but do we want to do that?
Right.
That's just the question that we have in the back of our minds, and that's definitely a question that we have in our hearts to say that, do we actually really want to show these emotions? And of course, when it does come to worship, that's a whole different mountain to climb.
Right.
When you're talking about emotion and you're dealing with God and yourself
Right.
at the same time. Separating the two, it's easier. But when you're combining the two together, it's really hard to factor yourself and separate yourself when it's time for worship.
Right.
It's really hard to do that when you're putting yourself out there for God like that.
Right.
So, of course, it's easier for us to do it when we're worshiping,
Right.
because we don't care about what nobody else thinks, because we're only there for one thing.
Right.
But when it comes to society as a whole, of course we care about what other people think.
But I think that's a sense of
us.
imbalance. If church is the only place where we can express ourselves, then what about when we get home? And like Ray said, like his daughters had never seen him cry, and that's most of us. Like, why is church the only platform where we can express
I
ourselves?
think because everybody else is expressing themselves in
Right.
church.
Right. Okay.
So
okay.
it's easier.
Right.
It's just like if all of us were going, what is the thing called?
Not bungee cord jumping.
No.
No.
You're not going there.
No.
You're going there.
No, if we were just, what is it called? My wife and I are going to do that thing in Dominican Republic. Zip line.
Zip line. I ain't
Okay,
doing that. I'm not doing that.
we're all. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whether you want to do it or not.
Right.
It's 4 guys up there.
Right.
So now it's okay. Ray, Pastor, and it's me and it's you.
Right.
So if everybody else says, okay, Bobby, we're doing this.
Right.
It's good. It's going to. Everybody is afraid. You got 200 or 200
No, he was
miles.
saying- shaking the table. No, you're good.
You have a 200 foot zip line
Right.
over trees, canals or whatever. So Ray says, I'm going to go first.
Right.
So that
Ray not going first though.
No, I'm just saying he just said forget it. We're going to zip. Everybody is
I'm not going
afraid.
first either.
We have that fear
Right.
of what it is, but we're here now.
Right.
So that that's basically what it is. We're all here.
Right.
We're all in that sanctuary. We're all gathering what we're gathering from.
So it's a
Pastor.
safe place.
It's a safe place.
Right.
Yeah, basically that's what
that's
it
a good
is.
point.
A safe place.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Falls, you good?
Well, one part of the question I think that is interesting is the whole aspect of should we show emotions in worship only?
Right.
Right.
I think that question kind of presupposes that all men show emotion in worship,
Right,
when that's
right.
not necessarily the case.
Right.
As a matter of fact, as we all know, a lot of men, especially those who are entering into a relationship with Jesus or whatever,
Right.
that's one of the hardest barriers to cross.
Right.
You know, we look around and we're in any church, you name a church, and chances are it's going to be 70% women,
Right.
and then it's going to be 30% men.
Right.
And now you're saying, if you're saying that the women are emotional, it means that they're expressing emotion however they want to do it.
Right.
You're saying, okay, now you do that. And we're like, no, I'm not. I'm not.
We're not
expressing
going. I'm not
emotion
going
like
to.
that.
No.
You know,
No.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
You know, so I think like you were saying, it's important that we have outlets of it, healthy outlets, meaning men, a community that can model what it looks like
Right.
to
Right.
be emotional.
Right.
Guys come to our church all the time, and they like, okay, I'm not doing that in the beginning
Right.
until they see
Somebody
me
else
doing it.
doing it.
They
Right.
see another guy doing it, and they say, okay, all right, I'm able to do that. So you hit it right on the head. Thank
Okay.
you.
Let's jump on a couple of more of these. Time is going fast. Let me ask you a question. All of us have sons. Is it okay to teach our sons to embrace their emotions and express their emotions?
You know what? Honestly, this was so funny. We're having a good dialogue about being open to expressing emotion.
Mhm.
But I have dissonance when it comes to that.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I need him to be tough in school.
Right.
Right.
Or else you're going to get picked on and get pushed around.
Right.
Right.
So I'm not going to lie. When I'm home privately, I'm teaching him, all right, toughen up, little man.
Right.
Right.
All right, stop crying about that. All
Right.
And only because I would rather wait till you get older to teach him about the range of emotion.
Okay. Okay.
So initially, early when you're young, I just want you to be tough.
Right.
We'll figure it out down the line, but I need you to be tough right now.
Right.
Because I'm not going to have you in school getting pushed around and picked
Right.
on
Man, that's
because
good.
you're crying every time something
Right.
happens.
Right.
You're so expressive of your emotion.
That's good, man.
Yeah, and I definitely think with what he said, just going back to what we talked about earlier before we even started this, I think that's what happens with a lot of those kids that have these particular issues when it comes to gun violence and things like that, because they weren't taught like that. They weren't brought up like that. Everything around them, you never know. Might have been a single parent home. Mom might have just been like, that, and that's what it is. There's no toughen up there. There's no dad probably just was working all the time just to take care of it. There's no toughen up there. So now I'm being raised by the softer side of me, which we all have that side. But, and
That's true.
I'm being raised more by that softer side of me. And that's the only thing that I see. So when I do go and anybody like barks at me or expresses anger or resentment towards me, I just put my head down and keep walking instead of me holding my head up and say, well, look, if you're going to bark at me, I'm going to bark back.
Right.
That's what our fathers have taught us. But if we get that aspect of mom raising us, we're not really going to get that so much. I mean, some of us got some gangster moms down there.
Yeah.
Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she shows more of an emotional balance for you than dad does. Dad doesn't. He might hug you when he comes home, but after that 2-second hug, he's going to
Yeah,
push
my
you
dad
to the
wa-
side.
My dad
So,
was with that.
you see what I'm saying? So it's like, you grab my leg now, but later on, hey, look, go grab the football, or we'll play around like that. But mom is going to hold you until she feels like letting go.
What'd you say,
And I
Foster?
think that's what happens.
Yeah.
No, I think, man, Ray hit it on the head. I have a 3-year-old, and at this point, I really want him. If I'm going to ingrain something in him right now,
Right.
Right.
I want him to be tough.
Right.
Not only because he's a man, but because he's an African American.
Yeah, that's good.
So now I got to prepare you for life.
Right.
And your life is not going to be like everybody else's
Right.
life.
Right.
And if you're all over the place emotionally, then the life will swallow you up.
That's true.
Right.
So I need you to be tough first.
Right.
and then we'll
And
work
then we'll
everything
deal with your
else.
emotions later.
Right, we'll work
Right,
everything else later.
We'll deal with them
I
later.
need you to be able to stand. I need you to be able to hold it down.
Right.
I need you to be able to
Right.
protect, provide. I need you to have those core principles. Now,
Right.
we'll get to the range of emotion, absolutely.
Right.
Right.
But I need you to get that first.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Let's get more into the relationship aspect of expressing emotions. Let me ask you a question, and this probably gonna take another 2 hours. But listen, are highly emotional women compatible with highly emotional men?
I don't think so. I think that's not only
JB over there laughing.
I don't think that's only a relationship imbalance, but physically,
Right.
that's a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that's not going to mesh really well.
Right.
Both of you being overly emotional, because when she cries, you cry.
Right.
So who's going to comfort who?
Who gonna take out the trash?
Right. Who's going to comfort who?
Everybody
And then, right. Everybody. When she gets upset, you get upset.
Right.
Somebody takes the parking spot. Mostly we did. Hey, look, Tiff, just drive around on the other side. There's one on the other
Right.
side. Both of y'all. Oh my God! I don't believe she just took the spot. We can't have that chemical imbalance or that relationship imbalance.
call
That's
it
going to
chemical
cause.
imbalance.
That's what it's going to do, because the brain waves are on the same pattern. It's going to be a chemical. That's basically what we're. Hey, it's going to be a chemical imbalance, and it's going to be a relationship imbalance, because we both can't be those emotional people. And then, like we said earlier, somebody has to be the tough person.
Right.
I have to be able to console you and let you know that I'm here for you. I'm strong. I'm going to be the strong one for you, because eventually one day we're going to break down, and we're going to need them to be the strong one for us. So
Yeah.
we're really setting an example for our wives and our
That's good.
girlfriends,
That's
or
good.
whatever the situation is.
What you got, Bacon?
You know what? I have to agree. I don't think two people who are exactly alike from that standpoint can be compatible, because I think everybody needs balance. in
Right.
life.
Right.
So here's what I will say. Y'all gonna have, if y'all were both that way, you have some passionate arguments.
Boy.
There'll be some passionate makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I like that.
So you can have that.
The silver lining.
Right.
Right.
But
Right.
overall, it's going to be a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And that's true. Because especially when y'all are disagreeing with each other.
Right.
Now, they're both people emotional. Nobody knows when to back down.
Right.
Got to prove their point.
Right.
That thing will linger and go. So
Yeah,
you
it's gonna
need
tear
that.
it
I
apart.
just get mad at my wife.
Right.
I get mad. Y'all know, Bob, you know my wife. She is very laid back.
Right.
I'm not anxious when I'm excited, but sometimes I need that.
Right.
I need somebody to tell me, you need to fall back. on this one.
Right.
You need to chill out, relax yourself. There was one night, I got to confess, preachers, I had gotten upset. Some things going on. Yeah, So I felt like we were being tried. And, the old man rose up in me and said, hold on now, just because we saved, we ain't soft now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And my wife had to sit literally in the parking lot with me for probably about an hour
Right.
and tell me.
To bring you down.
To bring me down.
Right.
Talk me down and say, listen, this is what can happen if you don't respond right.
Now, has she been emotional like that?
Oh, the fight would have went on in the parking lot.
Let's go.
Showdown
Fight
and
was
toe.
over.
Oh,
Yeah, fight was over.
World star.
So that's why you need somebody to balance that.
Yeah, you definitely need that balance.
That's right.
Like, is that the pastor?
Swinging.
Getting arrested?
What'd you say, Foster?
Man, I think I agree. I would say there's also an aspect of two people who are highly emotional, but also with that, it's possible to be highly emotional about different things.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know that it is healthy. I think it's walking a thin line if two people are the same as far as a quick trigger.
Right.
But I do see an aspect of it potentially could work. I would say this in my life, I'm so laid back
Right.
to where not much of anything really gets me
Right.
riled up. I don't remember
Right.
the last time I was mad
Right.
at something or angry. I try to stay, but one of the things that I've learned that I do is I muffle it, or I put something over something,
Right.
so I don't really deal with it.
Right.
And so just like you, and God will put our wives in our life, and so my wife will kind of bring something up to me, and that'll make me say, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So you need that balance, man. If you in there, if you got a sister, man, and God bless them, especially our sisters, I love them.
Well.
If they highly emotional,
Yeah.
you can't be highly emotional. You know,
That balance.
That balance
there
is
has to
key.
be a balance, man.
That's major. Like y'all know me, I live at a strong one, almost zero.
Right.
But my wife, you know,
We're praying.
yeah, she live at
99,
she live at a
99.
9
It's
plus.
balance.
But it's balanced though.
I love you,
So,
Sean.
it's balanced. So that's very good. All right, let me ask you another question as it relates to this relationship aspect. Do you think, I don't know if I should ask this, I think we need women.
And we having a conversation.
Do you think it's attractive? And that's for a woman though. I can't ask that. Baby, you want to talk on the mic? No, she don't want to talk on the mic. Okay. Does being an extrovert or introvert play a part in how we display our emotions? I mean, it's probably a dead giveaway, but
I mean, I think if you're more introverted, yeah, you're more likely to be reserved and not openly expressing. But I will say this: just because you're an extrovert doesn't mean you're comfortable
Right.
expressing emotion.
That's good.
Some people are extroverts because they're masking something.
right.
You know, so that's sometimes a mask.
A lot of them are like
Yeah,
that.
a
Right.
lot of so you're talking a lot, you're outgoing, but it's really to mask things that are
Right.
going on inside.
That's good. That's
Yeah, I
good.
see
Right?
that every day. Like with the job that I have, it's definitely like that every day. You know, I come across a lot of people on a daily. You know, and you can actually see it. You know, when they come in and leave at the same time. Like just today, one of my coworkers was helping somebody out off the ship, and the guy was nice at first. And you can tell a lot of the time when those people come in, their whole demeanor has changed from the time they come in
Right.
to the time that they leave.
Right.
Maybe it's the money they overspent. You know, the wife. You know,
Right.
they were having an argument the whole time. But the guy was nice at 1st. 5 minutes later, in the line, it's like right in front of Customs and Border Patrol. I don't give a you. Now he's talking to this guy that has his luggage and is helping him out.
Right.
So it's just like, I don't give a fuck. You don't need to do this. This, that, and the third. Oh my God! It was just. I'm like. So when he got outside, I said, "Let me tell you exactly what happened with this guy.
Right.
He overspent. He was underloved and underappreciated.
Like you say, he was under love.
That's what happened.
Bad
That
combination.
Bad.
right. That would bring that emotion out. You're nice at first, but then you go to thinking about how bad your trip was,
Right.
and you forget about who is in front of you,
Right.
or who is helping you.
Right.
So you express those emotions not to the person that you should be, but to the people that are around you. Just like you said.
Okay. So real quick, and I know this probably will call for a long answer, but real brief. Does the lack of emotions affect the long-term health of any relationship? I know that's kind of broad.
Yeah, that's broad.
Okay.
Does the lack of emotions affect a long-term
The
relationship?
health of a
The
long-term
health of a
relationship.
long-
Let's say
Absolutely.
marriage. Let's go with marriage.
Oh yeah.
We all married.
So it's important because I'll just say for me, one thing I have to understand is my wife is not made like I am.
Right.
She needs different things.
Right.
So if I am lacking to supply her needs,
Right.
and a lot of times we hear, oh, the man's supposed to be provider,
Right.
supply but it's more than just money.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's whatever it is that she
Right.
needs.
Right.
Right.
So if a listening ear or a tender touch or some kind of emotional reciprocation is
Right.
what's needed,
Right.
then me as the man, I should be able to do that. I think it's unhealthy when you can't,
Right.
because now you're operating outside of what you're supposed to do in the first place.
Right.
Right.
It's not just about bringing in a check.
Right.
It's about supplying her needs. So I think it's paramountly important that men have a healthy handle on their emotions so that their relationships can be healthy.
Joey, you good?
Right.
man.
You definitely
Joey, you need to
you
write
messed
a
me
book.
up with that because
Joey,
then the
get-
book,
yeah, it's in the book. Hey, y'all get the book, man. Go get the book. There it is, right there. Go get the book. Yeah,
Yeah.
get the book.
definitely support the book. Yeah, he's definitely correct. My wife used to tell me that all the time.
What's
Like,
it?
everybody isn't built like you. I'm like, what do you mean? Everybody is built like me.
Right.
Right.
You can do the same things I do. No, it's not like that.
Right.
Everybody is the same. I don't need much sleep
Right.
for my days and the things that I have to do to get done.
Right.
My wife needs her sleep.
Right. Mine does.
So it's like,
Hey, baby.
babe, I just can't live off of 2 hours of sleep like you. I can't go 20 hours a day and just get 4 hours of sleep. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
I have to understand that, it's just like Pastor Foster said, you definitely have to be there to supply, those needs.
Right.
And of course, I allow her to sleep. I don't just wake her up out of her sleep, but we do have those talks like, come on, you got to get up out of sleep. You can't sleep all day.
Right.
You can't do that. Oh, I don't want to get up. You know how they get, man. Especially, Sean, yeah, you too. Yeah.
Ray, what do you say, man?
Man,
Long-term health.
I agree with my brothers, what they
We're going to let Foster go last because he's
Man,
killing the game, bro.
man, this guy. This is what happens in the man cave, man.
LeBron James.
This is what happens in the man cave.
That's it. Boss is good, man. Yeah, so I think if we learn to be more emotionally expressive, I does think it would benefit the long term of our relationships.
Right.
We got to remember we're in it for the long haul.
Right.
Okay. And being in it for the long haul is about meeting needs and learning understanding those needs,
Right.
assessing them, and then meeting them.
Right.
And I think if we do that, they'll continue to meet our needs. So marriage is a reciprocation.
Get the book.
It's
Yeah, get the
right?
book. Get
Two
the book.
People learning to understand the needs of one another.
Right.
And being free.
Right.
Because I didn't bring this up on the show today, but I think vulnerability is important in a relationship.
Right.
Right.
You
Right.
gotta be vulnerable.
Right.
Right.
And when they can see that you can be vulnerable around them, and you've not been that way with somebody else, they know they have something.
That's good, Ray. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. All right, y'all. It's 6:03. I don't know what time we got started, but we want to sum this thing up. And so let's talk from a more solution aspect. What I failed to mention in the beginning, Ray has his master's in psychology. And so he is the resident psychologist in the room. And so we got ours in Bible. He is a little more, a little more advanced.
It's not that
So Ray, when it comes to, let me just get your expertise on this. When it comes to kind of correcting the issue, correcting the problem of being non-emotional, what would you suggest?
I think we have to take baby steps.
Okay.
And that may sound cliche, but it's true.
Right.
I think we need to start with exercises that will allow us to express ourselves.
Right.
Communication is the key in any relationship. We all know that. You don't have to have a psychology degree to understand that.
Right.
So I think it's learning to communicate our emotions. And
got 1 minute? Go ahead, Ray. We got 1 minute.
Communicating our emotions and learning to do that on a regular basis. And I think that's how we improve.
That's good. That's good. Look, I'm so glad you guys tuned in. I'm so glad for my co-host. This show went by extremely fast.
Yes.
But look, we'll be back not the next week, but the following week with the Man Cave at 5 p.m. I got a Bible wisdom that I want to put out there before we close the show. Emotions are the internal gauge that indicates something is going on internally. The proper response to these emotions will help you relieve the pressure. Don't ignore them, yet free yourself by expressing how you feel. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. The show was dope. This is the first show, and y'all tune in not this week, but next week to the Man Cave. Peace.
See ya.
Deuces.